Hello, folks. We're back again, and it is our first tag team video of the 2024.
It is, yeah, that's right.
Because we've
Yeah,
been sick and tired.
sick and tired and hungover from the holidays.
And snowed in. Boy,
Yeah, we did get a good bit of snow. Yeah,
huge snow.
yeah.
I think it's the most snow we've had in. I think they said since like 2009 or something like that.
Oh, really?
There's some
Yeah.
really, or 2006. There's a huge one.
At least all at once. Yeah, it was. Yeah, about 10 inches or so, whatever it was. Yeah,
And then it kind of iced over after that, so
Yeah.
it was a big deal for us. We didn't do much. We played at home alone,
Yeah,
with our spouses. So,
got cabin fever. Yeah.
so today, I wanted to do another topical video. Sometimes I just like talking about games,
Mm-hmm.
and I figure you guys maybe like listening about games. And one thing that I caught myself doing, I scrolled through a Kickstarter and I just instantly backed it.
It happens.
I'm even having trouble remembering the name of it. I think it was Storm Chasers.
Yeah.
Storm Chasers was the game, and it got me thinking. It's like, wow, if that was like a trap,
Yep.
if I was a jungle beast, and I was out in the wild, and you were gonna set a trap for me, what that game would be in the middle of it.
Yeah. Oh, so shiny.
And I think if we could define our perfect trap, maybe we'd figure out all the things that make us want to buy something instantly, or really like bring us in. Like,
Yeah.
so Owen, if there was a trap, if I was going to catch an Owen out in the jungle, a wild Owen, what would I put in your trap?
Oh man. Well, I was thinking about this and like so my ideas with these Kickstarter traps, one of the things, and this is a little like abstract, I guess, to just put on like an image of a bear trap and setting it right there. But it's weird, hype, like the hype of board games, a lot of the times will suck me in to getting something, and sometimes it's like later on, it's like, that wasn't even something that I really like. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like all that great, and I probably wouldn't have backed it if I had some whatever foresight on it.
It's
at the
almost
time.
like we backed it because they made a whole bunch of prototypes.
Yeah, and like people, like you got all these reviewers that are going, "Oh, this is great! Oh, like it makes you feel like you got to get in on this before it's got," and especially when they start throwing some of those Kickstarter extras to hype. But like, and it's not a bad thing because sometimes hype will and it has a lot of the times in the past. It's gotten me to play games that I otherwise wouldn't, and I ended up loving too. So it kind of plays on that. When you get a lot of attention on something, it can get me to back way more than what I should. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're talking about.
It could be.
But that is
I can see a whole bunch of people going, hey, step in that trap.
Yeah.
Step in that trap right over there.
Yeah, this
Hey,
trap's great. Yeah,
oh
it feels
man,
so good.
have
Get
you
your
been
foot
in this
here.
trap?
Yeah.
It is so nice.
This trap is leaving in a few weeks. If you don't get your foot in this trap now, you're not going to have a chance to get caught.
This trap will not be available at retail.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the kind of more abstract concepts, I guess, of what tends to suck me in sometimes. So
Yeah, it's even weird for me too. It's like, because like I was looking over that campaign, and I was like, okay, why did I just commit to over $100?
Yeah.
like without even a thought. Like I did go and watch like about 4 or 5 minutes of a how to play video to kind of be like, is this the kind of game I would like? And it does, like thematically and all that stuff. It just goes through and checks a bunch of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, if it's a post-apocalyptic theme with a really nice storage solution, maybe some miniatures inside,
Yeah.
boy, it's gonna pull me in every time.
Yeah, and some of those things have kind of changed over the years for me too. Like some of the things that, like I said, falling into the hype of things, and then kind of being a little burnt out once I actually get the game, and realizing like so miniatures are still good for me. They're not as big of a deal as they used to be because I've got so many of them at home. Some of the games are taking up so much space. But man, like some of the like fantasy in general will tend to grab my attention, And like if you can get like some of that like cultural fantasy involved with it, where it's like, you know, obviously they've been doing a lot of stuff with Viking, you know, the whole Norse mythologies and things like that. But yeah, if you can wrap in some even if it's like historical fantasy, sometimes if it's something that's like got enough of I don't know what you want, like just some kind of interesting way that they're pulling in some of the mythology of these different cultures. Like if they did something with the Hindu gods, I think that would probably grab me, and I'd be like, "What the heck is this? I got to get in on this," just because it's like something weird and interesting and grabbing. So I think
that's true. Like there could be
for me.
like you like a kind of a cultural blend of these sort of medieval thought,
yeah, like
kind of themes and stuff.
Well, so one example is like Harakiri is a Japanese. Um, it's like I don't know if it's Japanese, if you call it mythology or whatever. It's like, you know, with their different types of kind of monsters and demons and things like that.
Cryptids.
These different figures that might have showed up somewhere in Japanese kind of horror mythology and background, like, you know, religious theme or whatever it is that you'd want to call that. But yeah, it's these Spanish guys that are for some reason a lot of Spanish people really like Japanese themed stuff, so they'll do these Japanese themed games. And so that's like a campaign, and at this point I'm kind of getting into that, like, wary of campaigns, but scrolling through that was one of those things that, you know, you feel it's that hook gets in about right here on me, somewhere right just below, just right at the top, base of my rib cage. It starts with that V. That's where I feel it just hooks you in, like, oh, I gotta get this. So that kind of sucked me in. That was one of those ones that, like,
we got some kami.
You know, I don't know why it grabbed me, but it did. You know, and
I'm really intrigued by stuff like that from other countries and things too.
Yeah.
Just because we've kind of seen our monsters so many times.
Yeah.
And plus, I've always liked dragons, and I like, for instance, the Chinese culture has a lot of dragons in it and stuff too, and I find those fascinating.
Well, especially when it starts to pull something that's just a little different too. When you got something that's like got a little bit more in-depth background, like if you've got like a specific Chinese dragon that's got some actual history in the mythology, and that's being pulled out into the game rather than just being like, here's another Dragon Ball Z dragon or something.
Yeah.
Then that little things like that can certainly grab, but definitely those pretty bits like you were mentioning too are always going to be a grab. If you've got those game trays are always gonna make a game look better. And it's the playoffs. Like, oh, how much more do I want to spend for this game? But those trays are so nice, and do I want to get the deluxe? And if I got to get this big deluxe version, it comes with all this extra stuff that I don't need. But then,
well, sometimes like
playoff.
You'll bring over a game, and like as you're pulling it out of the box, I'm like, oh,
I know I like this game.
I really like the way this was put together. Yeah. I think, what was it you handed me? There's a couple of games.
Eldervale, maybe. Or,
the Dwellings of Eldervale had the individual player pieces, and the the Fall of the Mountain King or the Hall of the Mountain King.
Well, both in the Hall of and Fall of the Mountain King, I think, had their own. Because I think I got I think those are both the deluxe versions that came with those game trays. But yeah, you got those little.
So you just hand the other player their tray, and they got all the stuff they need to get going. I love that.
Yeah, it is nice, and I've got a 3D printer. I'll opt to print a lot of that stuff, but then I'm kind of at the behest of waiting for somebody to create that, and sometimes people are trying to sell their like 3D files for as much as it costs. Like, just go buy something printed already. And
a lot of times the vacuum forms are a little lighter.
They're a little nicer. Yeah, it's always a little nicer if you do have those vacuum form setups, because we usually have a clear top on them, and they just look nicer. They're a little prettier, but it just kind of depends as far as functionality goes. I do that with a lot of my games, though, where I've got inserts that just pop them over to you. Like, did that with the Dune insert I printed recently. It's got all the player pieces. Just here you go, and it's got all your cards and everything set up, ready to start. But that's still a big grab, though, is those little touches like that. Artwork in general. I mean, I guess you could just, as a real general statement, as artwork on games are
that cover. Like Stalker.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with Stalker. I got it, Beast.
Beast,
Same thing.
I think immediately looking at Beast and looking at that dark artwork, interesting, different. You know, it looked like something intriguing, like
Cryptids.
some world that you're getting into. You know, just from looking at this picture.
Unfamiliar cryptids
Yeah.
is the honey in the trap for
there,
Owen.
there is a cryptid game out right now, I think.
Yeah, there's one
feel
called
like there's one
Cryptid
that's got
and
Sasquatch on it or something like that. Yeah, or you got like your little meeples or Sasquatches or something that you're using for your character.
Yeah, there's a couple of different games with the name Cryptid embedded in them and stuff.
Yeah.
Miniatures. You mentioned miniatures, kind of like diminishing over time. It's kind of that way for me too, but it's like
they still look nice.
They're still I still like them, but it's like if I feel like I need to paint them, because I always kind of assume I'll paint them. Yeah. There's no reason to. I got plenty I don't, but I always think, oh, I'll probably ought to paint these, and so it also becomes a chore. Yeah. Like I'm looking at Marvel Zombies over here in the corner, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that would be my entire year probably painting just to get that done if I wanted to finish it.
If that's not your favorite game in the world too, you know you're going to play that game a good bit, but maybe not like, you're not obsessing about it, then it's like, do I really want to invest 400 hours into painting this whole thing or more?
So maybe miniatures aren't the lure that they used to be.
Not as much for me. Yeah.
Maybe a specific IP's miniatures, because I do like that too.
Yeah. That can certainly do it. What was that Dragon Eclipse game that came out? It's in the Pledge Manager, I think, still right now. They had that option for 3D miniatures for all the characters, or you could get these. Just flat standees for them. And I was like, man, that even without looking at the price, I was looking at it and going, I don't need those. Like those 3D models of it, and it's significantly cheaper in a much more compact box. And that was already like, well, that's a great option. That's grabbing me more than the miniatures are at this point.
Did you get the standees for Beast?
Yeah. That was acrylic standee. I think that's for me one of the ways to go if they have that option, because Beast did that where they gave you that option to use acrylic standees. Those are really attractive to me at this point. I like those quite a bit. I
like that you got your artwork. It's not some little piece of cardboard, because cardboard standees.
It's okay.
They have sometimes they're fine, but a lot of times they seem like a cheap component.
Yeah.
Like I'd almost rather have a meeple of some sort than that. But those acrylic ones, they have the artwork and stuff. They're attractive. They're kind of shiny and they're sturdy and
they have a much nicer presence immediately on the board, and just because they're like usually outlined to you're kind of seeing through and you're seeing around. It looks a little bit more like a model in a sense, that being on the board rather than this piece of cardboard that's getting torn up every time you're pulling it in and out of the standee portions.
There's no project, to do or anything. You just we got something nice right off the bat.
Yeah. So going beyond those abstract ideas for what grabs you in games, I know your biggest. I don't know, what would your biggest grab be as far, because it's like monster killer robot apocalypse is like if it has that, then that's Sean's grab, right?
Yeah, if there's a giant monster, Godzilla scale, King Kong scale monster, or if it's a survival game from a post-apocalyptic kind of perspective, those are my biggest themes.
Biggest grabs, yeah. Mine's probably just any general form of monster hunting. I would say that's going to probably grab me if it has something that goes in that vein, that loop of like going out, taking down some whatever kind of beast, cryptid, whatever thing that you're going to go after, and then taking parts back and making things out of it. That does something for me. I can just do that all day. I can just go kill things and make hats out of them and shoes and mittens. Soft fur-lined mittens with scales on the back of them. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
I made this hat from a pterodactyl.
Yeah.
It tried to run off with my dog, but I made a nice little hat out of him.
I'm gonna turn you into a boot, Tyrannosaurus. Yeah. Yeah, that does it for me. I think one of the biggest grabs. I don't really know. I mean, I get a little grabbed by like it's getting some of these things they get overdone pretty quick. So they've done that. They've done that with again like that Norse mythology is getting kind of burnt out because everybody was doing it for a while. You know,
Zombies.
I think when Everdell came out. I don't know if I'm saying that. I just said Eldervale earlier. Okay, I make sure I'm saying the right word there. When Everdell came out. I think that was the beginning of the woodland critter themed explosion of stuff, and now you see that kind of
was that before Root?
Overdone. Yeah. That it's I can't remember when Everdell came out.
Yeah, it's been a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah, but that still has like little things. There are little triggers like that'll grab me. Natural themes again are kind of getting burnt out a little bit. Just like plant life doing something or the funguses. There's a lot of mushroom games out now, but that stuff still does grab my attention. I don't know. I guess it's just some of the things that grab your attention and whatever pop culture, your own personal life, finding those interests that you've got. Because I went to school for animal biology, so like biology in general will tend to grab my attention. And especially weird biology that starts to devolve into monsters and monster hunting and and taking parts off of them and looking up their biomes and all that.
That's pretty interesting. Nature themes. That's the kind of thing I could bring my wife in on. She really likes games that are centered around hikes and stuff like that, and she loves tile placement games with kind of a more natural theme.
Yeah.
Carcassonne, I guess it's got buildings and stuff too, but I mean it's also farmland and kind of stuff like that, and little roads and stuff. So
yeah. There was I was listening recently to who was it? That was it wasn't Gamecat. It was another it was one of the board game podcasts. God, I wish I could remember the name off the top of my head. But they I think it's Board Game Hot Takes maybe or whatever. But they went on a whole discussion talking about those like whether you like things that are based in reality or things that are based in fantasy. And for a lot of people that is a grab if it's got some kind of like Carcassone's based off of like
real place.
Real place, real area, something that you can attach into reality. And so for some people that's going to be a big grab for them.
I've noticed that. And I've noticed it more like when you're trying to describe a show that you like to someone.
Yeah.
And if it involves spaceships, there's some people that just immediately will never watch it.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah. Give me
an FBI crime drama or something,
Yeah, or prehistory or something like that. Yeah. I've came around to space. I'm still not like a super space, whatever you want to call it, super grabbed by
astrological things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But I have gotten to where I'm a lot more open to it these days. I got what's that? The people that made Eldervale, the Dwellings of Eldervale are doing. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's a whole.
Is it the Vanguard?
It's basically the space-themed version of Dwellings of Eldervale or whatever.
Oh.
Ended up back in that because it looks so cool. And they have space dragons in it and stuff too.
Ooh.
So you got stuff like that shows up.
That sounds like a big monster.
But fantasy in general, I'm going to be attracted to. And so if you can mix fantasy with some history too, like I said, like mentioning Harakiri and bringing out some of that Japanese mythology and trying to.
But what about game mechanisms? Are there game mechanisms that would make you want something?
Oh yeah. I don't know if there's any one game mechanism that I'm really stuck on.
I know that for me seems to shift a lot. Like it depends on how well it's implemented.
I will say I do tend to enjoy the puzzly nature of Euros that will like where you have to, and other people will hate this, but those convoluted processes you have to get to make the resources you need. I really like it, especially when you can mix that with like mechanisms that combo. If you can get like a combo set up with things that happen, and you end up making some like you look really restricted, but you're able to just blossom out all of your actions that you're doing on that turn and make something really big happen. I really enjoy that. So that can be implemented in a lot of different ways, I think, with as far as mechanisms go.
Yeah.
I mean, deck building's always fun to throw into things, but I'm not like just hung up on it where I immediately going for it.
I always say like deck building isn't my favorite mechanism, but by golly, there's so many games that have come along where that is like what it's all about.
Yeah.
I played. You introduced me to that space game.
Star Realms.
Star Realms.
Star Realms. Yeah.
So I played like 2 little games of Star Realms in between, like waiting for someone to come around and play Dune with us.
Yeah.
And
it gets you hooked. Yeah.
I was hooked. I immediately bought a copy to give to someone for Christmas, and then I was like, I wish I had that copy. And then we're snowed in. Then we're snowed in, so I played it on my phone nonstop for like a week straight.
That's what happened when I started playing Dominion on my phone. Was just like constant Dominion for a while. Because it's just that it's addictive, that little that little purchasing mechanism that you're doing with the different deck building.
I think for me though, I'm more of a I like dice placement, kind of like that worker placement, but and I like chucking dice. I like the zombie side style, chucking lots of dice and stuff, and I got it, or God hates me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if there's any particular mechanisms I'm just like turned off by. I'm not the biggest fan of social deduction.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Hidden movement is tricky. I think Beast does it really in a way that I really enjoy. But yeah, I don't know if you can just especially if you can make a combo of things go together, where it's not just all one thing, because it gets pretty samey. Like Dominion. It's pure deck builder.
Right.
It's constantly deck building the whole time. But like you get something like Dune Imperium, and you're doing some deck building, and you're doing like worker placement, and then you're having these like little battles and stuff that are going on, and these little special cards that are interrupting like people's plans and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's a mechanism, but they got all these different little things going on. You're manipulating resources on that game as well, so you got that. Somewhat of a Euro-y component as you're trying to make the different resources that you need to do the things that you want to do. I really enjoy that. Like if they can do a combination of different weird processes together and make that work. So
I wouldn't like boring Euro games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. They got that's again. I usually follow hype when it comes to Euro games. So if I'm hearing about a Euro and people are like people that I feel like I can trust from what I've already heard their things that they've said about other games, things I've agreed with, and then they come out with some new game and it's like something that sounds completely boring. I don't know,
making shoes.
Yeah, like sorting pebbles in your fish tank or something. But then they're just like, "Oh my god, this game's amazing! Like, how did they do it?"
And I was just sorting pebbles, and before I knew it, 7 hours had gone by, and all the pebbles were all in a row.
And I had such a nice arrangement of pebbles, made so many points.
Well, folks, I think we're going to call it there.
Yeah.
That just a kind of a weird, interesting topic, but we want to know what's in your trap. What's in your board game trap? If I'm out in the woods and I want to catch you, what am I going to put in that trap to get you there? Let us know, and we'll follow up. Probably never. So until next time, enjoy your games, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.